Hello everyone. This is week 4. A couple of administrative items. The week 6 presentation, that's to be posted in week 6. But if you want a 1-week extension to Monday of week 7, that's okay. But do let me know that that is what you'd like, just so I'll be able to know that when I'm looking for them up there on the our course site. Written assignment 1 is due September 28th, and speaking of written assignment 1, I want to urge you again how important it is to make your papers look good with Zotero. I passed out at our face-to-face meeting a sample of what I think really looks good, a sample of the format that is excellent, which Zotero automatically delivers to you. And if you want me to send you a sample of that again, I'll be glad to do it. But it's very important that what you write not only look good, but also be good. And the look good part is sometimes even more important in many situations. And so I want to be sure that you're taking advantage of Zotero. Don't forget blogs. I'm asking you to subscribe to a lot of blogs. Occasionally mention them in your updates in your posts. And here's one you might want to consider. It's a very strong conservative blog, very much like Cafe Hayek, only directed toward the Republican Party, and it's called redstate.org. Okay, this is what we're doing this week, and these are all, I think you'll find, interesting topics. And the triple package, a lot of you have commented on that. It's not everybody's favorite, but it certainly is an interesting point of view by two very interesting and successful researchers, and I hope you continue to find it useful and interesting. And what I'm hoping you'll do is not necessarily disagree with it offhand or agree with it offhand, but examine the data. They provide a huge amount of data to make their surprising conclusions, and then they analyze it. They say, here's why, and you have every reason to question both of those, and then to comment on it. You can disagree with the data or disagree with the premises, and quite a few of you have. It's been great. We're in Shine now, chapter 8. He's gradually building up. Many weeks from now we'll be in chapter 17, where he'll begin to crystallize all of this, because he's soon going into the concept of leadership, and we'll have a whole section on leadership in a few lessons here. And when he gets into leadership, he's going to finally, at chapter 17, he's going to say, now here's how a leader can change an organization. And that's really the whole theme of his presentation, and it's definitely the C in CNO, really, of culture and organization, being able to change organizations. The Hecklow article, I've talked about it before. Several of you have already commented on it, and you can comment it on if you want to on assignment 1. I think it's quite useful because he takes an entirely different method of examining a complicated question than what one might consider normal. See what you think of it. Again, you don't have to agree with it. I just want to be sure you get an idea of how he approaches it. Ethnographic analysis, that happens to be my very favorite way of doing research, that is polling research. Again and again, the phone polling, which is characterized by almost all of these famous organizations, the Gallup poll and so many others, it just doesn't work. In Europe, there have been 3 polls just within the last year that have completely failed, where David Cameron race was supposed to be a toss-up. He won it easily. The same thing for that decision in Scotland. It was supposed to be a toss-up, and the don't break away voters won it easily, and the same way in Greece just recently on that poll. So my sense is that in some of the big ones where you can actually measure the results, the pollsters aren't doing very well. But if you use ethnographic analysis, it really does work well. It's very, very expensive. It's the way Gallup polls used to be done, where you knock on people's doors and actually ask them and have a good sampling method. I will do that in a few weeks also, look at some of those methods. So what I would suggest you do in this GAO report on ethnographic analysis is find the part of it toward the middle where it actually shows you some government agencies that were actually using it when this particular report was put together, and get a feel for whether your organization or your agency or where you work could get some advantage from this. It's very expensive, but I think it's far more accurate. The Haidt, I think you'll find we have another presentation by Haidt a little bit later on, and I think you'll find that interesting. And then the Gapminder site, please go to the Gapminder site, because you saw Hans Rolsing. This will tell you how he does it. And you saw him last week. That was the 4 minutes, 250 years. And then there's a Gapminder presentation by Stella and Philip in the class last time. And they actually do some demos. They learned how to use the technique as anybody can. We have a couple in this class who are going to be doing that. And finally, I want to discuss very briefly one of the many interesting variables that can be measured and discussed in the terms of COT. That happens to be corruption. And what I'm going to do is take you to a sample from our course a couple of last year, I guess, where one of the students' teams did a really interesting one on a bunch of different indicators. And now what you see here is some of the various indices that they collected. The Gini coefficients. There's the Gini coefficient in the United States, Human Development Index versus inequality. There's adjustments for that. The Glass Ceiling Index, Violence Against Women Index, Economic Freedom Index, and International Population and Internet Population and Penetration Browser Usage Index. And here's the Corruption Perception Index. If you're interested in this subject, you'll find that the Corruption Perception Index is actually, there are about 6 or 7 different ones. This is the best known one, CPI, and the countries that have high levels of corruption are shown as the darker countries. The ones with lesser levels of corruption, like Canada, Australia, Norway, and Sweden, are shown there. You might say, well, how do they ever compute this? And it's basically a score sheet that's filled out by analysts all over the world. There aren't any numbers that you can use to compute the corruption index. So I just wanted to conclude with that particular example of the Corruption Perception Index, and bring it to your attention to let you know that that's an interesting topic. It's one of many that fits into the COT rubric. And if you find this very interesting, take a closer look at not only that index, but the many others that are in that. That's the first of the 5 samples I give you in your presentation samples. Well, that's it. I hope you have a good week this week. Hope everything's going well for you in the course. Don't forget to get your paper ready for the 28th. That's a week from Monday. And I hope it's a good week